Usually when a blockbuster tentpole film is announced by a company such as Disney, they do so with fanfare, they do so with interviews and teaser trailers, GMA appearances, you get the idea. But in the case of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, under the direction of one Jon Favreau, a press release, a catch-all of quelling the rumors and stopping the pain for Lucasfilm. Today we're going to talk about why January 9th will go down in history as the day when Star Wars both abandoned the shills and did everything they could to shift the narrative. Hello folks, welcome back to another video of excellence here on the WDW Pro channel. What a joy it is that you have elected to join us. Happy to have each and every one of you out there as we examine the peculiar timing of the announcement of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Now, kicking Rey out of its production slot, kicking Rey out of its release slot. Is the Rey movie still happening? Well, we believe it is, in fact, although it may be significantly delayed, although it may go to Disney+, and although we don't know who will be directing it now because Charmin Obaid-Chinoy has burned some bridges. But one thing is for certain, and that is that it looks like there was a rush job to get this announcement made, to stop the bleeding, to stop the hurting, do whatever it took. And folks, we're here to tell you, we've got more on this. Hang tight, it's time for the panel. StarWars.com/news, and maybe it's actually good news. Here we go, folks. The Mandalorian and Grogu, Journeys to the Big Screen. That's by the StarWars.com team, breaking during the countdown. The Mandalorian and Grogu are embarking on a new adventure to movie theaters. Remember, by the way, when Jon Favreau was asked about Grogu appearing, and Jon Favreau said that at this time they did not have any plans for that. I suspect those plans changed quickly. Or Jon Favreau was being sly and clever with his wording. Directed, here's the big news, folks. Directed by Jon Favreau and produced. Whose name comes first in this announcement? There's a reason for this. I'm not here to tell you the quality is going to change. I'm here to tell you, pay attention to the way they are writing this. It matters. Directed by Jon Favreau. That's the second sentence. That's the biggest thing they want you to see other than Mandalorian and Grogu. They want you to know Jon Favreau is directing. They could have put this as the third, the fourth, the fifth. They could have buried it. It is the second thing. Produced. Who's producing? Jon Favreau. Secondarily, Kathleen Kennedy. Tertiarily, Dave Filoni. The Mandalorian and Grogu. That's the name of the title, supposedly. The Mandalorian and Grogu will go into production in 2024. Favreau's statement. I have loved telling stories set in the rich world that George Lucas created, said Favreau. The prospect of bringing the Mandalorian and his apprentice Grogu to the big screen is extremely exciting. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have ushered into Star Wars two new and beloved characters, and this new story is a perfect fit for the big screen, added Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm. The Mandalorian and Grogu will lead Lucasfilm's ongoing feature-developed slate, including films helmed by Charmin Obaid-Chinoy. Notice, folks, buried at the bottom, Lucasfilm is confirming, StarWars.com, the official website, confirming that Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, still a part of this. They're not dismissing her. James Mangold, who, by the way, in contention for the top flop of all time with Indiana Jones Without Destiny, and Dave Filoni, who is also currently developing Ahsoka Season 2, among those in the works. And this is also the first confirmation of Ahsoka Season 2. So this is a mixed bag in terms of what we're getting. However, what I would suggest, and this is what I want to talk about on the panel today, I think this is the big deal. The big deal is, did they put this out at this time because they wanted to, or did they put this out at this time because they needed to get away from the Charmin Obaid-Chinoy situation? Did they know that was killing them in the press, despite what Paul Tassi and the rest might say, despite the call of the shills to defend it at all costs? I suspect Lucasfilm needed to divert to this, and I suspect that they know, somebody knows, that Jon Favreau is the only name they have remaining that anybody's excited about, and even that I would say is diminished after the Book of Boba Fett. Panel, I turn it to you. What say you panelists?
Notice one thing. They mentioned everything but who's writing it.
Yes, well, that's a great point. Who is writing it? Maybe they don't have a script yet.
Do you think that this is a repurposed Mandalorian seasons 4 through 5 plus Rangers and all that stuff stuffed into one film?
I can see no. There's so much that we can unpack as we analyze this that you won't find in the articles, I'm sure. Jonas, your question is fantastic.
Similar things before, right?
Well, here's the thing, Andre, though, real quick, so we don't lose this point. So we don't lose the point. What Jonas is saying is that this could be a repurposed season 5. I think it either it must be, or season 5 is probably being altered dramatically, because if this movie goes into production this year, there's no way they can get a season 5 out before it. I would think. Andre, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree completely. That fits perfectly with what I was going to say. I mean, we've heard before that Kathleen Kennedy considers the whole Mandoverse a burden and just wants to round it out and get rid of it. This is one way to do that.
What does she prefer, Andre?
Well, she would prefer, obviously, to be able to steal credit for something that is successful, but also to be able to spread her message. This way, she's able to round out the Mandoverse and take credit for it. Note that
she wants the High Republic.
Mentioned.
She wants the High Republic. That's what Kathleen Kennedy wants.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah, get rid of the Mandoverse to clear resources for the stuff that she wants to do. And so round it all out in this movie.
You know, the things that I notice here, no mention of the cast of The Mandalorian. Mando himself is obviously he's not a face character. I can't, there is part of me that doesn't think they would do this if they didn't already have Pablo. Wait. Pedro Pascal. Sorry.
Jonas, are you trying to break news on this channel and say that Pablo Hidalgo is the writer?
He's the Mandalorian. No. Although
he's the voice of Grogu.
Although he could be, based on the fact that it's a guy in a helmet here. So there is so much here that if they want to get this thing out, and I'm sorry, this is the year that we're in, right? 2024 is this year. So they're saying that they're going to get this movie out before the end of this year. Oh, go into production this year.
Right. So 25, 26. This puts this, by the way, going into production around the same time that we believe that the Rey movie is going into production. Don't know which one will release first. But Chris, you were not excited about this whatsoever when the news broke. I don't see any reason to get excited, except for it seems to me that this announcement is made for a PR purpose. Is that your belief as well? Do you think that they did this for any particular reason as to releasing it now?
Well, Kathleen Kennedy has announced more Star Wars projects than have actually been produced. She's also fired more directors and creators than she's hired. I believe that this is a project that exists. I don't know that it'll actually be made and released. I do believe that the incredibly uninspired title, The Mandalorian and Grogu.
I was just about to say, it's like real, Peaches and Herb.
Because it's so lame. It's so effing lame that I believe it. I was really excited when they announced the title, The Empire Strikes Back. That was Gary Kurtz came up with that during an interview. He said that the next Star Wars movie might be titled this. They weren't going to call it Star Wars 2. That was when creative people were working on Star Wars. Now this is a corporate product, and this is the next product. And be excited. I care less, and I don't believe it'll happen. I don't know that the Rey movie is actually going to happen. And the point that people are missing on that thing, the Rey movie, I'm sure it's just going to be called Rey movie. The point on that is it's not the lack of credits that Charmin. We got to come up with a way to say her. Can we just? If I say Favreau, I'm talking about Jon Favreau. If I say Filoni, I'm talking about Filoni. Can I just say Chinoy at this point?
Chinoy, Charmy, whatever you want to go with.
Culture Casino calls her Sock. S-O-C.
I would call her Princess Charming because she just have this way of winning people over to, everything about her sparkles and makes you want to love her.
What's concerning about her is not the lack of credits, experience, or even having made a narrative, coherent live action anything. Those 2 episodes of Ms. Marvel that people point out were heavily reshot and redone by someone other than her because she walked away from it. It's her connection to the World Economic Forum, an organization known for recruiting prominent people in various, whether it's business, politics, or entertainment, sciences. The World Economic Forum, the purpose of that organization is to push an agenda. Clearly, Shinoy comes from privilege. She's an elite that came from money and bought her way into the film industry. That's not new, by the way. That happens quite often. I was told once by an old manager of mine, she said, movies are a hobby for the rich. They just are. Okay. So I don't know that Ray movie is ever going to happen, but her connections to the World Economic Forum, most people don't mention that. That is what's concerning. And a lot of the clips that you've seen that have just revealed what she's actually about are from that. The next Star Wars movie is propaganda. It's not entertainment.
Now hold the Star Wars phone for a minute, Chris, because I have been told that she's the perfect person because she's a documentarian. And Star Wars was shot like a documentary. Jason Ward dropping this priceless gem for us. Jake Genoy, Sock, has made some of the best looking documentaries with the best shots, capturing moments as they happen, and great shots when they're expositional in nature. Goes on to say, Star Wars was shot like a documentary.
I remember watching it in the theater and absolutely being quite convinced that it was a document. It was so realistic.
It was just like Nanook of the North.
I just kept waiting for Walter Cronkite to step in and say, "You are here." You know,
if Star Wars is a documentary, every action drama film of the last 4 decades is a documentary because they've all been trying to replicate that blockbuster feel.
Isn't describing Star Wars as having shots like a documentary like saying you read Playboy for the articles?
Or that you go to Hooters for the wings. Yes.
For the wings, those wings are great, I tell you.
If I can point out something here, I wonder if this was done because the usual fanboy rage that I think they were expecting, where we keep it focused on race. I saw Gary and Jeremy and Ryan and a lot of big people in this space. They weren't reacting with, "Oh, it's a girl. Oh, look at this. She's going to be." They all reacted very calmly and just said, she did some good work here. I don't think this activism thing is going to work for Star Wars. The rage that I think they were hoping for, in the way that the media was like hoping that someone would do something horrible in a theater for Joker, I don't think it was there. And so I think they realized, this isn't going to work. So
the old adage is, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. That's the worry with the Ray movie. And so far, stepping over and stealing the victories of women of the past, a la Marsha Lucas, not the best way to go forward, I would say. When you attempt to claim that finally Star Wars will be led by a woman, shaped by a woman, and it turns out that a woman is essentially the person who made Star Wars be what it is today. Not a great case of stolen valor.
This whole thing smacks of desperation from Lucasfilm. They've been putting out nothing but bad content over the past year. Everybody's been seeing it. Everybody's been talking about it. It's been all over. Every YouTuber that I watch, everybody's saying that, look, Star Wars is falling off. It's at the bottom of the ocean right now. They needed something big. They needed to announce something huge to get this thing back on track. And the Rey movie certainly isn't it. Putting Charmaine Obaid-Chinoy on CNN and having her state that, it's 2024 and I'm the first woman to do something, going full Jennifer Lawrence with this nonsense. That's the wrong move. Wrong move for them. They needed to. Yeah, go ahead.
Another thing I'll add here is when she said, "Oh, it's time for a woman to take the helm," because of this space and because of Chris, I'm going to give you full credit for this here. You were the one that turned me on to the fact that Marsha Lucas hadn't done an interview in years, and you had Brian Volk-Weiss from Nacelle, however you pronounce it.
The Nacelle company.
And he's got a series on Prime Video, Icons Unearthed Star Wars, that has an amazing amount of interview footage with Marsha Lucas talking about her work on Star Wars and how she was erased. Yep. So the fan community reacted and said, excuse me, first of all, Kathleen Kennedy runs this joint. And when Star Wars was at its best, Marsha Lucas was involved. So again, it destroys this narrative that men hate women. No, men like competent women filmmakers just as much as they like male competent filmmakers. They just don't want to be preached to in their fun time that they want to share with their kids.
Right. Charmin Obey-Chenoy is the first woman, and by that we mean the first woman that they want you to know of to shape Star Wars. That's
right,
because
history started six minutes ago.
Exactly.
The first
you
woman
see-
since the previous woman.
That's right.
What they had to do is they had to steal the narrative back, because we had taken this thing over and we were the ones that were putting it out there. Well, look at this woman, look at that woman, look at all of the other great women that have done something within Lucasfilm, that have led the charge when it comes to Lucasfilm. Look at all of these great women. And oh man, we dropped the ball on this one, fellas. Okay, we got to come back with a new story. We got to drop some, earth-shattering news, and that's basically what this Mandalorian announcement's all about.
And folks, that's a wrap for today. Roll the credits at the end. We've had a good time. We hope you did as well. Click the like button if you did. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithm. It's the notification bell. And folks, please drop a comment down below and let us know your thoughts on why this was so hastily announced. Tell us what you think about that crazy AI-generated, at least it looks that way, image. And tell us, do you think this is simply a repurposed Season 4 of The Mandalorian? Quickly thrown together, quickly made, so that we can toss Rey and not stand to damage that character and the sequel trilogy anymore with a failed box office. We'd love to hear your thoughts. All right, folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.